Okay,
It's
it
fishy.
is
It's fishy.
5:30. We will now call to order the Franklin County Community School Corporation second preliminary determination hearing. We will start with a roll call. Kevin Kaiser here. Jessica Brennan.
Here.
Greg Burris.
Here.
Beth Foster.
Yes, here.
Katie Holman.
Here.
Kim Simonson.
Here, please.
Brandy Wilson is absent. Now we will, if you are able, stand for pledge allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. Would you like to lead us back there?
That's Greg.
That's Greg.
Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. And thank you for being here. Okay. The first item on the agenda is for the board to hold a preliminary hearing on the proposed project. If you are interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed the sign-in sheet at the back of the room, which should include your name and address. After a presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the project. At the hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to the proposed project under consideration. The notice of this preliminary determination hearing was published as legally required. The first preliminary determination hearing was held on September 8th, 2025. At this time, I will ask that Mr. Gearing explain the purpose of this hearing.
Thank you very much. Pursuant to Indiana Code 20-26-7-37, before a corporation may spend more than $1 million to build, repair, or alter a school building that will be financed by a lease or bonds, it must hold a public hearing at which explanations of the potential value of the project to the school corporation and community are given. Similarly, pursuant to Indiana Code 6-1.1, 20-3.1, a school corporation must hold 2 public hearings and adopt a resolution to preliminarily determine to issue bonds or enter a lease for a project which has a total project cost in excess of a non-controlled project. These public hearings and the adoption of resolutions are the very beginning of the legal process. These resolutions establish the maximum financial terms for the proposed project.
Thank you, and we will now hear from Mr. Gearing about the process of determining and communicating the project to the community and the need for the project.
Absolutely. So the project really goes into 2 realms. The first one's somewhat simple to describe. We're going to look at bus purchases along the way because of replacement needs as well as needs for operation costs for the corporation. The second portion goes back to a March conversation at the board where we established a 5-school model. And my position is to implement that plan of a 5-school model. And after that assessment was performed by Performance Services to establish a short-term and long-term projects at 3 of our elementary schools. Upon review of those projects with performance as a team at central office, we have done the first wave of triage of those projects. Soon, we'll be requesting from the board the ability to accept bids on those projects from the assessment, but that's not tonight. We know that there are often more projects than dollars, therefore the exact list of projects is currently in flux, but ultimately we will use the bond dollars, the bond project dollars to address the triage list of now projects as well as the project identified in the 1 to 3 year range. Very quickly, just a few quick examples just so that people hear the types of things that we're looking at. Very quickly, things at Mount Carmel such as a water softener, things like temperature controls, things like some ducting for our air conditioning units, things like electrical outlets for our classrooms. Other things at Mount Carmel such as the wastewater treatment plant. Looking at that and receiving bids on that. And some interior renovations, old door hallway hardware, things of that nature, different light fixtures there. At Laurel, much the same. Water softeners, also a backflow preventer, as well as some temperature controls, some other air conditioning type items with the ducting, as well as electrical outlets in classrooms. And again, I'm being mindful to time for the board. Some site drainage repair, some roof repair at both of those sites, and some interior renovations, just like we mentioned before. At the kitchen area at Laurel in particular, looking at a new cooler and freezer, some dish machine, as well as a sink and a disposal. So those types of projects are on this list. At Brookville, much the same. water softener, backflow preventer, obsolete temperature controls, some other air conditioning items, additional electrical outlets in classrooms, obsolete electrical panels that can be replaced, some playground repair, things of that nature, some sidewalk repair, which has been mentioned here before, as well as some roofing repair, and then some gutters and downspouts, some old window repair, and then some interior renovations, such as the building intercom system, and some other things like that. And then looking at the freezer and cooler in our kitchen area, dish machine, and then also an oven. So those are the types of things that we're looking at. And as we continue down the road of triaging that list down and then asking the board to allow us to go get bids, then we'll really get down to what are the projects we're definitely going to do, because we'll know how far the money stretches.
Thank you. We will now hear from Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, our underwriter, about how the proposed project will be financed, as well as information about the effect on the typical property taxpayer. I'll now turn it over to Matt Shoemaker, who is joining us via Zoom. Matt, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, apologies for not being there tonight and certainly appreciate your flexibility. So I will walk through the same presentation that I walked through at the first hearing, and then happy to answer any questions that the board or public may have. So as we discussed at the first hearing, gave a little bit of a history of the school corporation's tax rate. You can see going back to 2022, the total tax rate has been right at $1. As a reminder, that total tax rate is made up of the operations fund and the debt service fund. You pair those together and you get the total tax rate for the school corporation. You can see from 2025 to 2026, it is scheduled to drop fairly significantly, which is why we're here talking about this tonight. The school corporation has an opportunity to address the facility needs that Mr. Gehring just talked about, and do so in a way that does not increase the school's stated tax rate goal of $1. We can look at how that looks in terms of the payback. So we filled in the green space on this page. That represents the $4.2 million bond obligation that the school corporation is contemplating. It can be paid back in 1 year. You can see it's all repaid in 2026. Again, to maintain the total tax rate, we're not looking at a tax rate increase as part of this project. And the beauty of this is you can get it paid back in 1 year. Will save you an interest cost and put you in the same position that you're in right now a year from now. As you look to other facility needs down the road, the goal would be able to do those in a way where we're not impacting the taxpayer on those as well. So that's how that can be accomplished with the 2025 bonds. Again, staying tax rate neutral from 2025 to 2026. But retaining that flexibility to address additional facility needs in the future with the goal of not impacting that taxpayer. In terms of the resolution in front of you tonight, I will walk through the financial components of that. So the maximum par amount of the bonds is listed at $4,200,000. This is a not to exceed number, as we discussed. You can borrow any number up to $4.2 million. You cannot go over the $4.2 million, so it is a true maximum. Estimated cost of issuance, these are upfront professional fees. I think these are probably conservatively high. That's listed at $150,000. I would leave a little over $4 million that could go into the actual projects for the hard and soft project costs. Maximum interest rate listed at 6%. As we talked about, this is kind of the worst case parameter. Interest rates, if you sold these bonds today, somewhere around the 4%. The Fed did come out and lower interest rates 0.25% just this afternoon, which should help our market as well. So again, we don't expect the interest rate to get this high if these bonds are issued, but they're certainly not being issued today. Rates can do anything in the future, so we've stayed conservative with that 6%. Same thing with the maximum term of bonds. We've listed it at 5 years. We just showed it can be paid back in 1 year. This is simply a flexibility play. If some sort of information or data comes out between now and when you potentially sell these bonds, just gives you that flexibility to repay it over the 5 years if that's something that you wanted to do, but certainly don't expect that. 4.2 million at 6% paid back over 5 years. That gives you an estimated interest cost of $618,625. I expect this number to be much smaller if these bonds are issued. For the reasons I just mentioned, we should see a lower interest rate and most likely going to be paying this back in 1 year and not the 5 years. So that number should come down substantially. Maximum annual payment, that's the highest payment you can make in any 1 year. That's listed at $4.5 million. And then lastly, the net increase over the 2025 total tax rate. Again, we've shown that this can be done in a way to keep the total tax rate at $1. The corporation has held it for the last several years. Last two pieces of information, school corporations max annual payments as a percent of net assessed value, 0.57%, and then a direct and overlapping debt. This is the school corporation's debt along with the other entity's debt that the taxpayer would feel on their tax bill. As a percent of NAV is 0.83%. So with that, any questions I am happy to answer, and again, certainly appreciate the flexibility tonight.
Any questions from the board? If none, we appreciate your time. Matt, we will move on.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing. Remember, if you would like to speak, please sign in on the sheet, which is located at the back. It is up here now. As I mentioned earlier, we ask that you state your name and address, limit your comments to the proposed project and financing, keep any comments to 3 minutes, and avoid being repetitive if possible. Have the sign-in sheet, and we do not have anyone signed in to speak. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay. Thank you to all who participated in the hearing. We appreciate your time and interest in the projects and the future of our community. Please note that this is just the first step in the legal process. The board will continue to work with the administration and its professionals to look for efficiencies to conserve tax dollars while meeting our educational needs. Mr. Gearing, could you please summarize the preliminary determination resolution?
Yes, this will be Exhibit A from the packet. The preliminary determination resolution is required when a school is planning to finance more than a certain amount for a given facility. It contains the total project cost, maximum annual payment and lease term, and other financial terms such as the estimated principal amount and tax amount.
Could I have a motion and second to adopt the preliminary determination resolution?
I so move.
Motion by Mr. Simonson. Do we have a second? Ms. Holman? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0. Mr. Gearing, could you please summarize the preliminary bond resolution?
This is identified as Exhibit B in the packet. The preliminary bond resolution contains the project cost for the project, maximum interest rate, and other financial terms such as the first interest payment date and maturity dates of the bonds.
Once again, could I have a motion and second to adopt the preliminary bond resolution?
I'll move to adopt.
Motion by Ms. Jessica.
That's me. Yep.
Do we have a second? Ms. Holman? Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0. And now, Mr. Gearing, could you please summarize the reimbursement resolution?
Yes, Exhibit C from the packet. The next resolution is a reimbursement resolution relating to the financing of the construction project. This resolution permits the school corporation to reimburse itself from bond proceeds for any cash which it might spend on the project prior to the closing on the bonds. It is required by federal tax law in order to preserve the school corporation's ability to reimburse itself.
And again, need a motion and a second to adopt the reimbursement resolution.
I'll move to adopt.
Motion by Ms.
reimbursement.
Brennan. Do we have a second? Ms. Holman? Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0.
Adjournment.
If there's no other questions, we will adjourn. Appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Thanks.